you've probably seen like the TED talk that Johann Hari did, Everything You Know About Addiction is Wrong, where the big culminating line he says is that the opposite of addiction is not sobriety, it's connection. Like, that's so key, is if we do have places where we can take that stress, where we can take those feelings and process them without judgment, with understanding, it just takes a lot of the power away from the thing that has the potential to be addictive. Yeah. Now, it doesn't take all the power away. I still have to make choices, but it's a lot easier to make those choices when I'm not making them in isolation.
Welcome into the Mentor Forge podcast. I'm your host, Cartwright Morris. At Mentor Forge, we're about addressing this ongoing modern-day issue of men stepping into manhood and finding their purpose. Like you, I was in my mid-20s feeling a level of aimlessness, uselessness, and to address my futility, eventually there are many things I had to put into place to find my purpose in life. And that my rite of passage was not from boyhood to manhood, but it happened in the midst of manhood. So go to mentorforge.com and subscribe to the newsletter to find out more information about finding your purpose. Excited to have you all in today on a Friday. If you haven't heard yet or listened to the episode with Greg Oliver, Greg and I are going to be breakout leaders at a conference. It's a men's conference up in Jasper, Alabama, with many great keynote speakers like Daryl Strawberry, Jeremiah Castile, and Chet Williams. So you can check out the link in the show notes if you want to kind of last minute sign up, if you're signing up before 6 o'clock on Friday. So really excited about that opportunity to serve with these men, to pour into a group of men. I'm going to be talking about defining your purpose, how to find your purpose in life. I'm really excited about this. As many of y'all know, follow me and check out my website at mentorforge.com. This is something I'm really going after. This is the rite of passage for a lot of us men that we missed, at our childhood. That's boyhood to manhood, is finding out that thing, that tip of the spear lifestyle, how to really step into manhood with more intention. And so, this has been my journey. I'm hoping to give more of that away to you. But let's recap my episode with Greg. Greg gave it all. He wasn't holding anything back. I love how he was willing to share his story. But this quote that I'm sure you've resonated with, that this whole idea that the opposite of addiction is not sobriety, but it's connection. That when we feel connected with people, we don't feel isolated. We don't feel withdrawn or withholding or hiding even in plain sight. That there's a level of joy we feel, fulfillment, that we are really communal creatures. We are relational creatures. We were designed to be loved and to love. It's such a tension, right, though, because some of us that we've been in relationship, we've been hurt. We've felt the opposite. We've been pushed aside. We've been belittled, misunderstood, and even felt isolated in relationship. It's a great Robin Williams quote. It's like, loneliness isn't the worst thing for a human. It's being in a relationship or being with someone and feeling alone. So I want to acknowledge that in the midst of it, but I think it's still worthy. And that's what courage is so powerful today. I think we look at courage like, running up a mountain or facing down someone in a fight and who's bigger and stronger with you. But I think this real courage is when you have been hurt by others, when you have felt pain in relationship, in community, you felt used, abused, manipulated, but yet you still have this core belief that I need people, I need to be loved, I need to feel connected. I still value vulnerability, that I need to open up my life to people and let them see me and risk the chance of being hurt, of being pushed aside, put down, manipulated, but yet finding on the other end that there are people that are deserving of your story, are deserving of your desire for connection. And finding that life, that is almost like finding water in the middle of a desert. And I think that's just today, I would just encourage each and every one of you, that is a very masculine thing to need others. You are still human. As much as it still is, even in our modern culture, we are belittling masculinity and even its significance. There still is that language of, I don't want to feel like I need anyone. And let me just tell you, you do. And to feel that connection when you don't pursue that, when you think you are an island and you have it all figured out, that is when addiction, depression, even suicide. Suicide is higher in men, partly because of this culture, partly because we're more prone to violence, even violence on ourselves. But yeah, like as Greg's talking about, porn addiction, that is such a epidemic today. It's this hollow, quick fix, feel good, but no long-term value in our life, but actually true connection with our wives, and learning how to be open to them, be connected to them, that leads to actually better sex, right? So I think I recommend, just if you haven't listened to Greg's episode, going back and really digging into some of these topics he hits on. But isolation, being connected to yourself, understanding yourself and your own little quirks, but then also being connected to God, of course, that vertical connection, that grounding, that foundational being, that person who loves you unconditionally. And then, that horizontal, that being connected with people, whether it's one person, whether it's a handful of people, learning to somewhat let you in your lives. Now, I think this is the balance we have. Is some of us have been isolated so long that we finally found a group and we just unload on them. And that could be a form of abuse. I think you've got to, sometimes you could just crack the door open. You don't have to swing it wide open. We want to invite people into our space and know it's okay, that we're not going to scar them or hurt them or abuse their kindness and their compassion, that we're actually going to be thankful for it and use it in a correct manner. And eventually, the more trust is built, when trust equity is there, then we can start sharing some even more the darker parts, or even the more harder parts to share about our life. So today, I just encourage you to do that, to have the courage to take a risk a little bit, let someone into some of your struggles, your fears, your insecurities, the unknowns in your life, and allow them to just see it. And those who, you've become that space, I encourage you just not to fix them. Just be a place of connection. Be a place where they can be heard, and solutions tend to come out of that. And when there's a humility not to try to fix somebody, but just be there, that's when you really start connecting to your humanity, and you really allow that person to feel and be known. Things tend to heal themselves over you trying to be the arbiter of human beings, of healing and counseling and input. And we just kind of relax and let people be heard, and then when we find our spot, we take it, and we love where there needs to be love, but we don't go beyond that. So, I'm appreciative of all you listening. Hope you're willing to check out the conference up in Jasper, the 4th 13 Men's Conference, and I'll have the link in the show notes if any last minute want to go. I'll see y'all next time. Speaking of not being isolated and being connected in a group, not only just a plain old group, but a group of men, the value of being with other men, especially other men that are moving towards something of similar value. Leaders in industry and in business, growing leaders. That's what I am all about. And so I've started a group called the Leaders Collective. So you can go to mentorforge.com/leaders and check out more information. I'm starting in August. It's a bi-weekly thing where men can get together. I have an in-person one and I have a virtual one. And we'll be meeting at lunchtime on Tuesdays or Wednesdays. You can find out more information on the website. But we're going to be talking about finding our solutions together, building towards the things that we really want in life, unpacking them, and going after them. So check out mentorforge.com/leaders.